House will come to order. Today, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Ellie Roberts from Mountain View High School, guest of Representative Weinberg.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Schiebel, please call the roll.
Representatives Amabile, Armagost, Bacon, Bird, Bockenfeld,
Here.
Basenecker, Bottoms, Bradfield, Bradley, Brown, Catlin, Clifford, Doherty, Rep. Doherty, DeGraff, Degree Kennedy, Duran, English, Representative English,
Excused.
Epps,
Here.
Evans, Frizzell, Froelich, Garcia, Rep. Garcia,
Excused.
Hamrick, Representative Hamrick,
Excused.
Hartsook, Hernandez, Herod is excused, Holtorf, Judah,
Here.
Joseph, Representative Joseph,
Excused.
Kip, Leader, Lindsay, Linstead, Luck,
Here.
Lukens, Lynch, Rep. Lynch is excused, Mabry, Marshall, Martinez, Marvin, Morrow, McCormick, McLaughlin,
Present.
Ortiz,
Here.
Parenti, Puglisi, Ricks, Representative Ricks,
Excused.
Rutinel,
Here.
Sirota, Snyder, Soper, Rep. Soper,
Excused.
Story, Taggart, Titone, Valdez A, Velasco, Vigil, Weinberg, Weissman, Wilford, Wilson, Winter, Woodrow, Young, and Madam Speaker.
Here. With 58 present, 7 excused, we do have a quorum. Representative Vigil, history lesson today.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I did not prepare an actual statement today, so I will just share a little tidbit. You may or may not know this. Colorado Springs was a premier destination for people dying of tuberculosis when that was still a major health crisis in this country. So actually, UCCS, where the university is now, was one of the largest and most popular sanatoriums. It housed a lot of people until TB stopped being something that killed people so much. And so now it's our university. And so whether that earns me a yes vote or you're just going to scream no, because that's what we love to do in this chamber, is completely up to all of you. I will not demand your vote one way or the other. And with that, Madam Speaker, I move the Journal of Tuesday, February 2nd, 2024, be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Members, you have heard the motion that the journal be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion is adopted. Members, our next order of business is third reading. I will invite members to take their seats. Thank you. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of House Bill 1179.
House Bill 1179 by Representatives Degree, Kennedy, and Frizzell, also Senators Hansen and Baisley, concerning the creation of an updated abstract for the 2023 property tax year.
Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move House Bill 1179 on third reading and final passage.
Members, the motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1179 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Bachenfeld, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Bachenfeld votes yes. Representative McLaughlin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative McLaughlin votes yes. Representative Rutenell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Rutenell votes yes. Representative Luck, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Luck votes yes. Representative Epps, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Epps votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Representative Judah, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Judah votes yes. Representative Froelich. Please close the machine. With 61 ayes, 0 no for excused, House Bill 1179 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move the following bills be made special orders on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, at 9:12 a.m. Are we paying attention? Here we go. House Bill 1180, 1182, 1183, 1184, 1185, 1186, 1187, 1188, 1189, 1190, 1191, 1181, 1192, 1193, 1194, 1195, 1196, 1198, 1199, 1200, 1201, 1202, 1203, 1204, 1205, 1206, 1207, 1208, 1209, 1210, 1197, 1211, 1212, 1213, 1214, and 1215.
Yeah, thank you, Madam
Come on.
Majority Leader. Seeing no objection, the bills listed by the Majority Leader will be made special orders on Wednesday, February 7th at 9:12 a.m. Representative Mabry. Members, you've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Mabry will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for a reading of a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your binder folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of House Bill 1180.
House Bill 1180 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Agriculture.
To the bill, Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 241180.
To the bill, Representative Taggart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
The first supplemental has to do with the Department of Agriculture, and the recommended change for the Department of Agriculture is somewhat a common theme we're going to see in all of these supplementals as it relates to the departments. It is, in fact, driven by the Department of Personnel with increased liabilities that we have seen across the state. And so this is an allocation to this particular department, along with...
Hang on a second, Representative Taggart. Members, it is too loud in here. If you could please take your conversations outside or to the walls. Please, Representative Taggart.
So the second element of those impacts driven by other agencies, which happens to be the Department of Personnel, is real-time billing, and this has to do with IT projects. We now have converted to real-time billing, but at the end of the fiscal year, we have to true all of those up with any overages. So those are the two components for the Department of Agriculture.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 241180. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of House Bill 241182.
House Bill 1182 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Early Childhood.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 241182.
To the bill. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the supplemental for the Department of Early Childhood. Includes a couple items addressed by the committee during the summer in order to prevent reversion of funds to the federal government. You'll see an increase of $11 million federal dollars to the Child Care Development Funds to support child care sustainability grants and early care and education recruitment and retention grants. And that is the bulk of the supplemental, in addition to small adjustments to adjust for OIT real-time billing.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before us is the passage of House Bill 1182. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1183.
House Bill 1183 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Education.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241183.
To the bill.
Members, this bill includes an appropriation in the amount of approximately $4.6 million cash funds from the state public school funds for a one-time increase in required audit payments to school districts and to correct for a miscalculation of at-risk supplemental aid payments. Also included is funding to support 2 adequacy studies that were required by last year's School Finance Act. Finally, the bill includes funding to meet the costs associated with larger than expected liability claims payments and the Governor's Office of Information Technology mid-year adjustments related to the OIT real-time billing transition. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before us is the passage of House Bill 1183. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1184.
House Bill 1184 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the offices of the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and State Planning and Budgeting.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241184.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. From the Office of the Governor, the recommended changes, the first one, again, is that real-time billing for IT projects. Then there are a couple of technical changes of just some language that needs to change. And last but not least is the impact, again, from the Department of Personnel for the issue of risk management.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before us is the passage of House Bill 1184. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1185.
House Bill 1185 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241185.
To the bill.
Members, first, this bill includes the release of restrictions on the fiscal year 23-24 appropriations imposed by the state controller due to over expenditures in prior years that are authorized by law. Releasing the over expenditure restriction requires increasing the fiscal year 22-23 appropriation by $24.9 million in total funds. The bill includes a net decrease of $135.3 million total funds to account for a lower than expected enrollment in Medicaid. Importantly, this bill addresses the need for an increased reimbursement rate for pediatric behavior therapy providers to ensure that they are being compensated at 100% of the benchmark rates identified by the Medicaid Provider Rate Review Advisory Committee. Relating to a bill that Rep. Taggart and I just ran, there is funding to enable the department to increase its oversight of the non-emergent medical transportation benefit in response to suspected fraud schemes. The bill also addresses funding impacts to the state associated with the unwinding of the public health emergency. The bill accounts for an expected decrease in federal funding Colorado will receive as we unwind from the declared public health emergency. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the things I wanted to bring up to the House floor is the fact that the federal funding is now going away. And that's a reality that this state is facing. We all want to talk about pulling federal funds, but arguably federal funds are nothing more than borrowed money on Washington, D.C.'s very large credit card. So as we try to make these supplemental adjustments, the Joint Budget Committee has the challenge of figuring out how all these programs continue to be funded. And HCPF arguably has the largest, one of the largest, if not the largest, it is the largest budgetary request of all the departments. So this is very concerning. We have to understand that in future time, as the economy turns down, many of these programs are not going to be sustainable. We will find that we're going to have a situation where we can no longer continue to fund even these supplementals, despite the Joint Budget Committee's best efforts. So, my colleagues are considering bringing some amendments that are very important and impactful. And I want the chamber to consider the importance of these amendments. Now, one of the things that I always argue for is what's called a smoothing function. A smoothing function that takes away the rapid acceleration or increase in budgets and then the precipitous drop in these budgets as the funding dries up. So it is imperative and indicative of us as the legislative body that has the power of the purse, and you need to understand how important that is. Because the governor doesn't get $1. If this body doesn't say, Governor, you don't get that $1. You don't get $100, you don't get 1,000, you don't get 1 million, you don't get 10 million. because the people don't think it's in their best interest. That is our legislative system. I encourage all of you to understand our role and responsibility to control the funding, because it's not the governor's money. It might be the governor's budget request, and I want to put a very strong emphasis on request, because just like children, you can ask for something, but maybe you shouldn't get it, because wants are not needs. So I appreciate the Joint Budget Committee coming forward and being the first line of defense, but arguably, ladies and gentlemen, we are the next line of defense. So take these supplementals very seriously, and please consider those amendments that we bring forth that are going to act arguably as a smoothing function. Because, ladies and gentlemen, good times don't last forever. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before us is the passage of House Bill 1185. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1186.
House Bill 1186 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Higher Education.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241186.
To the bill. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill includes an increase of $1.5 million of general fund to the Department of Higher Education to address a 2023 cybersecurity breach and data incident. We have provided roll-forward authority to ensure that they can use it between 2 fiscal years. It is critical that these system upgrades are made to bring the department in line with best practices and industry standards. The Joint Budget Committee and the Joint Technology Committee have worked together to also move forward with an exploration as to the efficiency and utility of possibly moving these services under the auspices of OIT in future years, but for now, this responsibility rests with the Department of Higher Education, and it is important that these technology upgrades are made. There is also an additional increase in the negotiated expenditure cap for AHEC, and also OIT real-time billing adjustments. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before us is the passage of House Bill 1186. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1187.
House Bill 1187 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning supplemental appropriation to the Department of Human Services.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241187.
To the bill. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In this bill, there is an adjustment to the fiscal year 23 appropriations to lift a restriction placed by the state controller to address the increased use of contract staff to fill direct care positions at the state hospital. For fiscal year 24 appropriations, there is an increase of $58 million of general fund for staffing and private hospital contracts to maintain and increase existing resources for inpatient competency restoration services. And then we also see adjustments related to increased liability claims and OIT real-time billing, and a couple other adjustments related to some federal funds for pandemic assistance in TANF, and increase of spending authority for legal representation. We increase $500,000 of general fund for the Colorado Commission for the Deaf, Hard of Hearing, and Deaf Blind, so that we don't see a shortfall for those who rely on these critical services. Also, an increase in Title IV-E spending authority, and an increase of a small amount of less than $50,000 of general fund to the Behavioral Health Ombudsman to address their challenges related to increasing caseload, and a couple letter note adjustments. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move J002 to House Bill 1187 and ask that it be displayed. me go ahead.
Okay, the amendment J002 is properly displayed to the amendment.
Hello, members. Just attention, please. We have a shortage of nurses in our state. From high acuity beds where we can't get kids in to be treated because of the short staff of nurses. This is asking for $7.1 million from the general fund to the Department of Human Services for the retention and compensation of nurses. We're in a crisis of travel nurses coming to our state, getting $20,000 in incentives, and then after 2 years leaving. What I have heard, being in the medical field, is that nurses feel a little underappreciated in the state of Colorado. They're not getting compensated nearly as much as contract nurses. We need to do more for our nurses in the state of Colorado. They were on the front line during COVID. They helped many of us get through the pandemic. And what we need to do is compensate and retain them so that we can get kids treated more appropriately, elderly treated more appropriately. And so I ask for an aye vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate my colleagues' interest in this very pressing issue that we are facing in the state of Colorado related to supporting our healthcare workforce and especially our nurses. It is an extreme challenge that the Budget Committee has been grappling with for several years at this point. And in fact, we are working to ensure, because both the Department of Human Services and the Department of Corrections often employ similar types of employees that, and they have had different strategies to try and address recruitment and retention, particularly of nurses. And so I think this is a great concept. I don't think that it will actually, it wouldn't actually receive the effect wouldn't actually be what is intended here, but I promise that we are working on this for figure setting for the long bill that we'll be dealing with in another month and a half to ensure that recruitment and retention bonuses for our nurses and healthcare employees in both departments are actually, that they actually match, so that the state isn't playing one department off of the other when they are trying to recruit and retain the same workforce. And so we will continue to have these conversations and ensure that the state is doing what it can do to recruit and retain this critical workforce. But I ask that we vote no on this amendment in this particular supplemental. It is something that we will revisit in another month and a half.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you. Just to add to what Representative Sirota has said, and just want to extend gratitude, we see the same challenge, and wanted to assure you the only other thing to add is that there is a significant amount of money in this year's budget already addressed toward these salary disparities to try to attract, recruit, and retain these nurses in state facilities so that we're not overly reliant on the contract nurses. So rest assured, it is addressed in the current year's budget, and we are discussing this for the long bill as well.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Bradley. Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment J002. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The amendment fails. To the bill. Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe that was too much money. So I am going to move J001 to House Bill 1187 and ask that it be displayed.
J001 is properly displayed to the amendment.
Same amendment. Gonna give you guys a break and only ask for $5 million to protect our youth, our mentally ill, our seniors. We're in a crisis. I appreciate the bill sponsors for saying that this is going to be addressed in the long bill. It's not being addressed. We are hearing in committee after committee after committee, we are screaming, we are in a staff shortage of the people that take care of us, that take care of mentally ill kids, that take care of our seniors. We're in a crisis. We're contracting with nurses from other states instead of retaining and paying our nurses in the state of Colorado. This is not that big of an ask. We all need nurses. It's not like any of us have never been to a hospital, or our parents haven't been to a hospital, or our children don't need nurses. Nurses are vital for the state of Colorado. And we have been paying people out of state to come into our state and take care of us, instead of retaining and helping the medical professionals in our state. I beg you for an aye vote on $5 million to help the people of Colorado be taken care of. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Holtorf.
So I appreciate the Joint Budget Committee saying they'll address this in the long bill, but ladies and gentlemen, that's the 24-25 budget. These supplementals are for right now to help those departments as a bridging for the shortfalls in this fiscal year, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you want to kick the can down the road, when we have nurses and nursing vacancies because the state is not competitive with the market, I have a daughter that's a nurse. There is a nursing shortage all across the health care space, in every hospital, every clinic, every assisted living center, every school, oh, by the way, everywhere in the state. Now, if we want to fix the problem now, Joint Budget Committee, if we want to fix the problem now, Joint Budget Committee representatives to the House of Representatives, then we should address the problem now. So I plead to those that sit on the Joint Budget Committee to do something today. Understand the criticality. When you have a young 12 or 13-year-old boy or girl who's suicidal, has mental health issues, irregardless of race, ethnicity, gender, or anything else, that is a life pleading for help. And we can't have a nurse or a nurse practitioner or even a nurse's aide, because we have shortfalls in budgets, to have that first person that touches that particular individual in the medical space field. I understand about the clinicians. Many of these young people need acute care. I sit as the ranking member on Health and Human Services, and we talk about this all the time. So it is not okay for me to hear in this chamber that we'll take care of that in the long bill, because the problem is right in front of us right now. Now, in the military, we had a little saying, and I'm going to go there because I'm a retired military officer. We said, soldiers, take care of the 50 and 100-meter targets that are in front of you as the enemy approaches you. Don't worry about the 300 or 400-meter targets that are on the horizon. You better take care of business that's right in front of you, or you will get overrun. Well, Colorado, in the healthcare space, we are already overrun. And if we can't understand that and put a small fraction of money, like $5 million, in a 41 growing to 43, 44, $45 billion state budget, what is wrong with this state? What is wrong with us? What are we doing? This is a plea to help those that can't help themselves. This plea comes from the heart. This isn't about a letter behind anybody's name. This is about helping those on the front lines and being competitive and making sure we can pay and compensate those frontline medical workers. Please consider the importance of these amendments as we move forward to try to solve the problems of the state of Colorado.
Representative Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I always do when I come up here, I try to bring the rural Colorado perspective. In rural Colorado, we are facing the same crises that you are, but it is so hard for us to recruit folks to our communities. We are an underserved community in rural Colorado. We have constituents, we have children, mothers and fathers that are dealing with the mental health crisis, dealing with sickness in their family. And we don't have the hospitals and even the facilities that you all have. This would really help rural Colorado. This would help plug a gap. This would help the underserved communities in House District 47 to be able to treat these people. I mean, they're constantly having to drive from my district to Pueblo, to Colorado Springs. Will this solve all of those problems? No, it won't solve all of those problems. But at the end of the day, this will help us put a stopgap in. This will help us get qualified professionals into our communities. I will say this again, it is hard to recruit. It is hard to get people to move out on the Eastern Plains. There's not a whole lot for them to do. I mean, you have to be tied to the land really to stay there. But this will help us try to solve those problems. This will help our aging and elderly community. This will help children with the mental health crisis. So I ask you, I urge you, please really take a look at this. Please help rural Colorado and House District 47. Thank you.
Representative Taggart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I really appreciate what my colleagues, the passion on this particular subject. I want to assure you of a couple things. Already in the budget is a significant amount of dollars for incentives between now and the end of the year, approaching $15,000 per nurse hire. Also, there are vacancy savings that can be put to this as well. So there are funds available today in this budget to do what you would like to do. And we're not trying to push off something on the long bill. All we're trying to do is get a little bit of time. There is already a recommendation from the JBC staff of how to approach this, and I went through this yesterday in the caucus. We have taken that very, very seriously, and I hope you heard me say yesterday that there is going to be a very significant change in terms of a compensation plan. But please trust us, there is money in the budget today to do exactly what you want to do. So we don't need to put these incremental dollars. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Amable.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to say I'm on appropriations, and we looked at this bill, and I am a huge advocate for mental health, and I believe we should be pouring money into mental health care. And I feel like what we're doing here with the supplemental is significant. It's what we can do right now. It is the right move. I totally support this bill, and I encourage all of you to as well. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I also rise in support of this amendment, and here's why. As we all did when we finished up the session last year, we all go back to our communities, we talk, we stakeholder, we have those conversations with those folks that we represent, whose voices we bring down here to the Capitol. And one of those meetings that I had was with some of my healthcare providers, specifically some of the folks that oversee and work with our ER departments, our nurses, our doctors, our frontline workers who are providing those critical resources to us in that healthcare context. And there were two things that they told me that really, really stood out that are linked to this amendment. The first thing that they mentioned to me was the massive, massive increase that they've seen in violence in a healthcare setting. The number is, I think it's 119% increase in violence toward healthcare workers in the last 3 years. Guess what that does? That affects your recruiting and your retention. When you're seeing that fast and that much of an increase in violence toward the people that are trying to take care of us and keep us safe. Here's the second thing they told me. They told me a story of an ER nurse that works, it's one of the hospitals that serves the northern part of my district. ER nurse that works in that hospital assaulted twice in the same shift. And the gentleman that was telling the story said the only reason that that even came up was because nowadays it's kind of status quo to be assaulted once during your shift. And the only reason that that rose to the level of telling me was because she had been assaulted twice in the same shift. That drives a recruiting and retention problem for our critical frontline workers, our doctors, our nurses. And so I'm asking you, please consider this amendment, because this can help with that recruiting and retention. This can help with that key compensation to keep those folks who are already doing a hard job, who are already experiencing a massive increase in violence. This can help provide at least a little bit of compensation for them, to thank them and to compensate them for what it is that they do for us, for the efforts that they put forth when they're facing things like that 119% increase in violence in the last 3 years, when they're facing situations like was relayed to me about one of the hospitals serving the northern part of my district in which you had an ER nurse assaulted twice in the same shift. I rise in support of this amendment.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, just very respectfully, I understand the impetus here. This is a shared value, making sure that we are appropriately compensating and doing everything we can to recruit and retain medical staff, nursing staff. But this amendment is ignoring the fact that we have tens of millions of dollars already allocated to this exact purpose in our current budget, a budget which most of us voted to support. So just as a reminder, when we're working in supplementals, we are working with the current year budget where most all of our resources are already allocated. We are working around the margins. Make no mistake that what's being discussed today is a shared value. And also make no mistake that we all have a responsibility to live within our means. So we have to follow the law that we just passed fiscal year 23-24. Right now, again, as a reminder, supplementals are working with the margins to address unexpected issues that have arisen, changes in caseload. That's not what this amendment is about. I will say again, rest assured to my colleagues for the important policy goal of making sure we're taking care of medical staff who are caring for our most vulnerable. We are already working towards next year's budget, which will also include a re-upping of many of those investments and sizable additional new investments. So the concerns that are being raised will be addressed. I assure you of that.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of Amendment J001. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. The amendment fails. To the bill. Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm back. I move J003 to House Bill 1187 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment J003 is properly displayed. To the amendment.
Thank you. I appreciate the fact that there is budgeting that's being put aside, but we need to bridge the gap now. We put so much pressure on our nurses during COVID. They gowned up, they gowned out, they gowned up, they gowned out. They went from room to room taking care of us, to the point where a lot of them quit. A lot of them were done with their duties, so much that we have now had an influx of contract nurses. Why not bridge the gap now? Why not tell our nurses in the state of Colorado, I'm a healthcare worker, COVID was horrible for healthcare workers. Why not bridge the gap now and say, nurses, we hear you, we're going to give you money now. We're going to give you money as a way of telling you that in the long bill, we're going to give you even more. Why not give money now and say, help is on the way? Help is on the way to the people on the front lines, taking care of our families, our children. Why can't we do that? I get it. It's coming. I hear that all the time. The money is coming. We're not talking about construction. We're talking about people that labor on the front lines to protect us, that take care of us. We need to put their minds at ease. We need to tell them that we're not picking contract nurses over the professionals in our state that need to be retained and paid more now. This is detrimental to every piece of healthcare, in mental health, to our seniors, to our families. Show good due diligence, Assembly, by telling the nurses in our state that we are going to go ahead and approve some money to keep you here, to thank you for working tirelessly through a pandemic, and help is on the way. I urge an aye vote on this amendment to show our healthcare workers that we believe in them, and we want them to stay in Colorado. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a privilege to be here today with you. I'm rising in support of this amendment. It is spending, government spending, which typically I'm going to be very much against. But I find it ironic that we are going to be circulating, and we're going to be considering a bill at some point. We have the money in the budget now, as we've heard, and we've got a bill that we're going to entertain coming up soon that wants to increase our pay by 25%.
Representative DeGraff,
Yes,
if
sir.
you could keep it to this amendment.
Well, we're talking about pay for this, and we're saying we have money. We're going to entertain money for something else. So one of the ways that you can compensate for somebody is you can either increase the pay or you can decrease the workload. And the workload, we have just decided that we are just fine with continually ramping up the workload, as we talked about with COVID and that completely botched response. But we're also overwhelming our healthcare workers and our healthcare system with the sanctuary city policies that are continuing.
Representative DeGraff, if you could please keep it to this amendment.
We are overwhelming. So in order to, because the body has not chosen to end the sanctuary policies that overwhelm our medical staff, the only way we can compensate for that is to increase the pay for our medical staff. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're just creating a problem, and then we're demanding that the citizens of Colorado, that our medical staff, which has assault should not be a normal part of your job. So since we're not going to honor the role of protecting our rights, then at least we can at least increase the pay, certainly increase the pay for these critical workers that provide a valuable service before we look at increasing the pay for the General Assembly. Thank you.
Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, I'm going to rise in support of this amendment. You talk about being exhausted in city hospitals and urban hospitals. It is twice as hard for us in rural hospitals. I mean, a lot of times our nurses work on the ambulance district, and that ambulance district nurse, she works for the rural fire department. I mean, they are doing triple and quadruple duty. And it sure would be good for them to be able to know that we care about them and that we're in their corner. And that's why I rise in support of this amendment, and I ask you, please, support this amendment.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the new members that are here, we have some new members based on some departures and vacancies. And I don't know if they're in the chamber right now as I look and scan. Yes, we do have some new members. You need to understand, colleagues, that every time we ask for amendment from the floor, the Joint Budget Committee is going to object. In every case. The mighty Joint Budget Committee is going to tell you no. But I want everybody to know that you have the ability to override them. We have that ability in this chamber to override and to direct not only what the Joint Budget Committee does, but also what the governor asks for. And oftentimes, I strongly encourage my members in here to show the powers that be who truly controls the power of the purse. Because arguably, if we unite as we represent the people, because House members are closest to the people, if we unite, we can override all of the powers that be and take care of the people's business. Never forget that in this chamber, ladies and gentlemen, my esteemed colleagues. And oftentimes, the governor's office gets it wrong. And oftentimes, despite the best efforts of the Joint Budget Committee...
Representative Holtorf, could you please talk specifically about this amendment?
Thank you. Thank you. Oftentimes, there are considerations that the Joint Budget Committee may overlook. Now, as I understand, these supplementals are for this fiscal year, so I'd like a clarification on that. And I don't want to talk about the long bill in 2024 and 2025. I'm not interested in that conversation, nor should any of you, because as we talk about supplementals, it's for now. I don't give a tinker's darn about next year, which starts in July 1st and goes on. We're talking about February through June. So stop talking about the long bill like we don't understand what's happening here, folks, because that's a different subject. It has nothing to do with today's conversation. So every time you mention the long bill and it's taken care of in the long bill, I'm going to give a longer dissertation explaining how this works. After half a decade in this chamber, I think I understand the process. So please stop referring to the long bill as if it's going to fix the problem in this supplemental, in these supplemental bills, in this fiscal year. Thank you.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with the representative from Akron. If we're just here to just push through bills and not hear the democratic process, then I'm frustrated. We're talking about $1 million to support healthcare workers, and I know there's no healthcare workers in this chamber other than myself. And I think sometimes maybe you pull a healthcare worker aside and ask them their stories through the pandemic and not being closed and being scared for their lives and things like that, and not being rewarded. I took a 10% pay decrease in the middle of all that to keep my company afloat. Nurses did the same thing. They worked harder hours, overtime, and got very little in return. And all I'm asking today is to bridge the gap with $1 million. We spend that in this chamber like it's 2 cents. I'm asking you to protect the nurses today, retain them, keep them in Colorado, and tell them help is on the way. It's that simple. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Bottoms.
Thank you, Chair. I don't normally get up and speak toward spending money, but there's a reason why I think this is a good amendment. We were looking at, we were addressing all of the supplementals and orbitals and everything yesterday and looking at the way different money is spent. And when it came to the nurses, and this was nurses in multiple, not just this arena, but multiple areas, we found out that contract nurses get paid much, much higher than the state employee nurses. And so the state is bringing in contract nurses, and we were looking at some of the numbers. If we gave nurses a considerable raise, 2 things would happen. One is more potentially, we don't know for sure, but potentially more nurses would want to work for the state directly, which helps in pretty much every area that we've looked at. But then also, we actually save money. We save millions and millions of dollars if we just pay nurses more money, because we're delegating this out, and it costs more money to accomplish this. So I believe spending this kind of money is actually pretty small because you save money in the long run. The net value is less money spent. And so I strongly believe in this amendment. And because of my thoughtful conversation here, I believe that many of you are going to change your minds and believe in it too. Thank you.
Division. Seeing no further, a division has been called.
Yes. Did you turn on your camera? You need to.
The committee will stand in a brief recess. The committee will come to order. Members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment J003. A division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. All those in favor of Amendment J003, please stand and remain standing or raise your hand and keep it raised until the count is taken. You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. Make sure you count. Make sure you count the folks on the wall. And I'm a no. You may be seated. Amendment J003 is lost. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1187. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1188.
House Bill 1188 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Judicial Department.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241188.
To the bill.
Members, this is a bill that includes increased spending authority to enable courts and probation to support necessary judicial building costs and funding for 5 additional courthouse infrastructure projects that are located in Durango, Adams County, Weld County, and 2 projects in Mesa County. There is an appropriation included to fund initial leadership for the new 23rd Judicial District. There are provider rate increases for courts and probation and for expert witnesses utilized by the State Public Defender, funding for office security, the online publication of judicial opinions, IT licensing for an evidence management website, caseload adjustments for the Office of the Respondent Parents Council, and fiscal note adjustments to account for late amendments that were made to House Bill HB 231249 and Senate Bill 2354. I ask for a yes vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1188. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1189.
House Bill 1189 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Labor and Employment.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241189.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for the Department of Labor and Employment, and the recommended changes to the supplemental are as follows. First, the Digital Navigator Program, which if you're not aware of, these are individuals that work with individuals across the state that have disabilities. This is extending the spending authority on $1.9 million through this next fiscal year. The second one is a roll forward of $2.8 million, and that's a roll forward on through 24-25 this next year. And then we have a division, 2 divisions within this department where there's going to be a swap of dollars, no increase in dollars. And then the last group of numbers, again, has to do with the allocation from the Department of Personnel on both risk management and real-time billing for IT.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1189. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1190.
House Bill 1190 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning supplemental appropriation to the Department of Law.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241190.
To the bill.
Members, this is a simple bill that includes an appropriation to cover costs that are driven by other agency decision items. I'm having a difficult time getting my words out this morning. So we ask for a yes vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1190. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1191.
House Bill 1191 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of the Legislature.
Representative Byrd.
I move House Bill 241191.
To the bill. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The supplemental for the Legislative Department simply includes 2 adjustments for risk management and OIT real-time billing. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1191. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1191 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1181.
House Bill 1181 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Corrections.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241181.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In this supplemental appropriation bill, there is a net decrease in funding in the amount of approximately $508,000 to account for a decreased prison population. Specifically, reductions are anticipated at the Buena Vista Correctional Complex, Delta Correctional Center, and cuts of approximately $2.5 million to reflect underutilization of local jails that are housing DOC inmates. This line item reduction is equivalent to a reduction of 105 prison beds. The bill funds 34.7 FTE to backfill funding related to 356 prison beds that are expected to be utilized through the remainder of this current fiscal year. This supplemental increases supports for improved correctional officer staffing levels and fully funds FTE related to 156 prison beds and 200 at this. I misspelled that. Anyway, at 200 beds at the Trinidad facility. The bill includes funding to cover inflation related to medical services, medications, and food services. Additionally, an appropriation is included to fund overtime expenses for corrections personnel and expenses necessary to fund growing DOC basic training program class sizes. This bill also includes funding to assist up to 50 DOC staff members attain housing in the greater Buena Vista area. I ask for a yes vote.
Representative Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It has been an issue with DOC ever since I've been in this building. So 4 years ago, the Department of Corrections couldn't even tell me the number of people they had incarcerated. I'm still, 4 years later, waiting for that answer. Still have not got any responsiveness on this. That in addition to, this is a $1 billion budget for our state. This is a huge outlay. I just don't believe that the Department of Corrections has actually presented a case, I think, good enough to the JBC, and definitely not to this body, that justifies an additional $16 million that in a world where we are actually incarcerating fewer people, and I think there's just work that can be done with the DOC to actually sharpen their pencil and be a little more responsible with our money that is being spent in the Department of Corrections. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to move Amendment J001 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment J001 is properly displayed to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a really simple amendment. It's easy to vote for. All it does is it strikes this year's this appropriation altogether. So what the message we would be sending from just the increase, not their entire budget, just to be very clear. The message we'd be sending as members of this House is that it is time for the Department of Corrections to actually sharpen their pencil, actually present to us a coherent, a good count of how many people that are incarcerated, what they're really doing with this money, and actually figure out how to work within a growing billion-dollar budget. I just don't believe at this time that we should go outside of the usual appropriations process to give them more money. So I would encourage a yes vote on this amendment.
Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I concur with the statements of the good representative from Larimer County. Last year, I questioned the supplemental for DOC for the same reasons. I did not feel like they could justify and or spend that money in that time, and that they should work within the long bill in order to prove the need. I still think that there is some serious concerns with DOC, how they're spending the money. I don't think they could spend the money last year. I don't think they'll be able to spend the money this year in such a short amount of time. So if you think about it, they'll have to spend this money between February and June 30th. Because then the new state budget kicks into effect July 1st. So I'm also opposed to any supplemental funding for the Department of Corrections and support this amendment and ask you all to support it as well. Thank you.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of my colleague from Wellington. One thing that I noticed when I went on the DOC tour this summer during the interim, DOC used to have a very robust program for building and manufacturing within the Department of Corrections. They did things like building furniture. In fact, many of the chairs that you sit in here today were built by DOC. They would do things like build saddlery, other trades and crafts that they would learn while they were in Department of Corrections. I have, my entire time here, have supported DOC. I've supported work release. I've supported the job skills training within these departments. But then I find out that these departments, because they use the excuse because of COVID. Well, we're in a post-COVID era, and these programs need to be resurrected. These justice affected persons need to get job skills when they come out of the correction system. Then they have opportunities to go to work. I have hired these people out of DOC. I have given them job opportunities, and I have seen them thrive. And when they get back in the workforce, they do not recidivate. They are now integrated in society. And these job skills need to return. So that's a shout out to DOC, but also this amendment, it doesn't directly speak to that, so I think we're going to move on. But thank you, Chair, for your attention and time. And thank you, JBC, for your patience.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage. Oh, sorry, Representative Byrd.
So the question, I think we're still discussing this amendment, and I just wanted to say, members, we need to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and approval of this amendment would mean that we're wasting taxpayer money on empty beds. Also, we wouldn't be meeting inflationary expenses related to food. We would be taking money away that is needed to train new corrections officers. Also, included in this supplemental request is funding for some of those same medical personnel that members were asking for just a few amendments ago. So I urge you to say no to this amendment, and we'll make an ask to support the supplemental. Next.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is, a division has been requested. Members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment J001. A division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. And all those in favor of Amendment J001, please stand and remain standing or raise your hand and keep it raised until the count is taken. Did you get the board? You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken. You may be seated. Amendment J001 is lost. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1181. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of House Bill 1192.
House Bill 1192 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning supplemental appropriation to the Department of Local Affairs.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241192.
To the bill. Representative Serrata.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Department of Local Affairs supplemental simply includes adjustments for risk management and OIT real-time billing, and I ask for an aye vote.
Yes, they did move the bill. Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move Amendment J001 and ask it properly be displayed.
That's properly displayed to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason I'm standing here today is I was contacted by a sheriff in my district out of Bent County, and he's had 3 inmates escape over the last year and a half. There was some improvements or non-improvements done to his jail, and he just doesn't have the facilities to keep the people in jail. It's becoming a community safety issue, and he's really reeling on asking for help. He's tried to pull money from wherever he can. He talks about, like unfunded mandates, some of the body camera things that happen. His county can't keep up with the mandates coming out of the state. And right now it's a public safety issue in Bent County. So he asked me if I would try to do some work for him and try to get him some money to try to help repair his jail so he can actually keep inmates housed in his jail and know where they are at all times. He's been given fence from DOC. He's worked with the county on getting more materials to try to make more deterrence. But he said that they want to put some detection cameras in the ceilings. They want to harden the jail cells. I mean, it's pretty hard to keep people in jail when they can literally cut through a sheetrock cell and climb out the roof. So, on behalf of, Bent County and the sheriff, I would hope that you would take a look at this amendment and vote yes on this amendment and help out Bent County. Thank you.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Many of my colleagues know in this chamber that I represented House District 63 for 3 years as a state legislator. It was a 9-county district. It was the largest House district in the state, and it surpassed over 50% of the Senate districts on the Senate map in geography and size. Bent County was one of my counties. Bent County is largely rural, largely agrarian, and their economic base does not have a lot of capacity. If you understand rural Colorado, when now Representative Ty Winter brings forth a supplemental amendment to help with respect to public safety, it is a strong plea. I would ask the Joint Budget Committee to consider this amendment as a plea to public safety in southeast Colorado. This is a small ask. It's a very small ask, but in Bent County, it makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference for public safety. Arguably, we all care about the public and their safety, but this goes directly to a sheriff's department and a judicial system that is grossly underfunded due to what many people know I speak of, and it's the rural-urban divide. In the urban centers, you have a very large tax base. You have a very large ability to draw on many different components. But in the rural settings, in our small rural communities, this tax base does not exist. So I ask you to consider, I ask the Joint Budget Committee to make a very, very small concession today. I plead with our members. If I can get their attention, I do plead with them to make one concession today on one amendment on one bill. That is my request. One small request. And with that, I will turn the floor back over to another legislator.
Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd be remiss in saying, in these counties, they help the other counties out. So right now in one of the neighboring counties, a jail is being built. So they're also helping other counties that don't have jail space to be able to house their inmates. And in such small communities like this, if the counties don't help each other with space and with cells, then we have no way of housing them. So once again, I please urge an aye vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I ask for a no vote on this amendment. It is not the practice of the General Assembly to earmark funds for challenges that we see in our specific districts for a specific place. I empathize, and I am sure that each of us have fielded calls from folks in our districts facing various challenges. It's why we end up running the legislation that we run to try and remedy those challenges. And, a grant program does exist, and hopefully your district will reach out and make application to said grant program to try and access these funds. But as far as earmarking something in a supplemental bill, if we all ran these amendments to take money, to earmark money for our special projects in our districts, it wouldn't be a fair way to do this, and it's not good practice. So I ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of Amendment J001. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
The amendment fails. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1192. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of the House Bill 1193.
House Bill 1193 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241193.
To the bill. Representative Taggart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Repetitive to some of the other departments, where in fact the only two requests have to do with the impacts from the Department of Personnel, having to do with both risk management and real-time billing.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1193. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1193 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1194.
House Bill 1194 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Natural Resources.
Representative Byrd.
I move House Bill 241194.
To the bill. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The supplemental for the Department of Natural Resources simply contains two adjustments, one for risk adjustment funding and also for OIT real-time billing, and I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1194. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. House Bill 1194 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of House Bill 1195.
House Bill 1195 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Personnel.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 241195.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Department of Personnel, if you've heard us all talk, that there have been allocations to individual departments. So the single biggest change in this are reappropriated funds that come, in fact, from the other departments to the tune of $33.4 million on those common policies, as well as a $7.1 million reappropriated funds that have to do with fuel and automotive supplies, which we all know have increased. Those are the two most significant elements of this particular bill. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1195. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1195 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1196.
House Bill 1196 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Public Health and Environment.
Representative Byrd.
I move House Bill 241196.
To the bill. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This supplemental for the Department of Public Health and Environment contains an increase of reappropriated funds to address some over collection of indirect cost recoveries. There are adjustments related to OIT real-time billing. There is a $1.8 million additional cash fund spending authority. The money has already been appropriated, but now it just allows the department to have spending authority to utilize this funding to continue maintenance of Superfund sites within Colorado. There is an appropriation for $1.3 million of general fund to address the lawn and garden equipment electrification grant program. These grants have already been awarded and are under contract, but due to some challenges between fiscal years of the state and local governments, they were unable to get the money out the door. So this is just an appropriation to honor those contracts that have already been awarded. There is funding to support an ARPA payday shift, funding to address the air toxics database system. This money still reflects the amount of unspent general fund that was in the initial fiscal note for the department to complete the project. It also includes an increase of $214,000 to address the protection of Colorado's wetlands after the Sackett v. EPA Supreme Court decision on waters of the United States. And this is funding that was appropriated during the interim in June by the Joint Budget Committee. And there is a slight increase of reappropriated funds for our phone system modernization, an increase in reappropriated funds for state laboratory utilities, a decrease in cash fund spending for vital records because It turns out that that particular cash fund was able to generate the revenue it needed to sustain itself, and they did not need the additional funding that we had initially supported for that program in the budget, and a letter note adjustment. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a privilege to serve with you.
It's a privilege to serve with you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to move Amendment J001 to House Bill 1196 and have it displayed.
Amendment J001 is properly displayed. To the amendment.
Thank you, sir. Members, what I'm saying here today is that we haven't passed anything in the state of Colorado in regards to WOTUS and the state of Colorado starting to move into that space to regulate those type of issues. I don't think we should be funding individuals to get ready to do that when we're not passing the bill yet that says what we're going to be doing. So this amendment comes forth to just ask to remove the $214,000 and the 9/10 of an FTE from this bill. I ask for a yes vote.
Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with my colleague from the Western Slope. We're putting the cart in front of the horse on this one. I urge an aye vote on this amendment.
Representative Serrata.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I ask for a no vote on this amendment. I understand there will be a discussion before the General Assembly on separate legislation about how and where enforcement on this particular issue will happen going forward. But for the time being, I think it is important that we leave this money here because if we remove it, we are simply eliminating the current enforcement authority, and it will reduce it will lead to a lot of uncertainty for industry that they rely on for now in this gap while the state establishes its system of regulation and enforcement. So this is a little bit of a stopgap as the General Assembly debates how we will do this going forward. But for the time being, it is important that we maintain some consistency that industry can rely on.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of Amendment J001. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The amendment fails. To the bill. The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1196. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1196 passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title to House Bill 1198.
House Bill 1198 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 241198.
To the bill.
Members, this is a very simple supplemental that includes an appropriation to address costs in this department that are driven by decisions made in other departments relating to DPA's risk management and the Governor's Office for OIT real-time billing transition. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1198. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1198 passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of the House Bill 1199.
House Bill 1199 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Revenue.
Representative Byrd.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 1199.
To the bill.
So, members, again, this is another simple bill which includes an appropriation to account for an increase of $2 million in lottery cash fund spending authority. And this is necessary to cover the cost for an increase in lottery vending fees. Also, there is an appropriation to address cost impacts that are driven by decisions, again, made in other agencies. The OIT real-time billing, DPA risk management, and DPS digital trunk radios. There's also a technical corrections, to address letter note technical adjustments. I ask for a yes vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1199. All those in favor say yes. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. House Bill 1199 passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of House Bill 1200.
House Bill 1200 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of State.
Rep. Byrd.
I move House Bill 1200.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with both of you, actually.
Honor to serve with you as well.
So, members, this is another simple bill. It includes an appropriation, again, to address cost impacts that are driven by decisions made in other agencies. It also includes roll-forward authority that's going to allow the department to spend funds that have already been appropriated to it to build out technology costs that are associated with House Bill 21-1071. That current bill only provided spending authority for one fiscal year, but due to uncertainty regarding IT development timelines, extended spending authority will allow the department to spend the funds and get the IT project done correctly. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1200. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of House Bill 1201.
House Bill 1201 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Transportation.
Rep. Byrd.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 241201.
To the bill, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Rep. Taggart. To
The
the bill.
recommended changes for the Department of Transportation are impacts, again, driven by other agencies, and I'll read this to you. The bill includes an increase of $5.7 million of cash funds in the administration line and an offsetting decrease of $5.7 million cash funds in construction, maintenance, and operations line for decision items originating from the Department of Personnel to address increased costs associated with larger than expected liability claims.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1201. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of House Bill 1202.
House Bill 1202 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of the Treasury.
Rep. Byrd.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 241202.
To the bill.
Members, again, another simple bill for the Department of Treasury. This bill includes an increase in appropriation, again, to address costs that are incurred in this department as a result of decisions made in other departments. Again, DPA risk management and OIT real-time billing. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1202. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of House Bill 1203.
House Bill 1203 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning funding for capital construction and making supplemental appropriations in connection therewith.
Representative Byrd.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 241203.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a supplemental for capital construction, and we do have a situation of some carry forwards from the 22-23 budget year as well as 23-24. The first one in 22-23 is a $10.3 million increase for Colorado Mesa University for their Robinson Theater, which covers the inflationary costs associated with that particular project. Department of Education also has one for Trinidad State College. In fact, in this particular case, it's been a reduction of the Phase 2 project because of construction inflation. And also, in that same year was University of Northern Colorado, a $3.8 million reduction and corresponding decrease. And then when we come over into 23-24, we have for the Department of Human Services an increase of $11.4 million for additional inpatient beds at Fort Logan. The University of Northern Colorado brings back in 23-24 the completion of the phases of Gray Hall as $7.6 million. And the other significant one is the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs in Fort Lupton, and this is an increase in cash funds of $198,000. Thank you.
Rep. Winter.
Would these, thank
To
you,
the
Madam
bill.
Chair. Would these be considered earmarks?
Bill sponsor? Okay. Rep. Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, these are not earmarks. These are all projects that followed the typical process of going through the CDC review and standard practice, not earmarks.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1203? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1203. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1204.
House Bill 1204 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning funding for capital construction information technology and making supplemental appropriations in connection therewith.
Rep. Byrd.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 24-1204.
To the bill. Oh, Rep. Sirota, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The capital IT project supplemental includes an increase of cash spending authority for the School of Mines to complete its technology project. It provides an extension of an appropriation to the Department of Human Services and the BHA to continue work on its interconnected technology initiatives, to develop their system-wide model for organizing and implementing care coordination and behavioral health data. It provides for cash fund allocation adjustments for a project undergone between Adams State, Western Colorado University, and Fort Lewis College on their digital transformation experience. It includes an additional, essentially, roll forward authority to the Department of Early Childhood to enable them to continue spending their $8.8 million to create the Unified Experience and Early Childhood Data Trust project, and improving the scope for the Community College of Aurora on one of their projects. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1204? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1204. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1205.
House Bill 1205 by Representatives Sirota and Taggart, also Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, concerning modifications to the Colorado Imagination Library Program to enhance early childhood literacy.
Rep. Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1205.
To the bill. Rep. Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this orbital bill will accomplish a few things, including providing roll forward authority for expenditures of any funds left in the program, but it is for the Colorado Imagination Library Program, which serves to enhance early literacy among Colorado's youngest folks. It will also allow the Imagination Library of Colorado to partner with other nonprofit organizations and work through pediatricians' offices to deliver more books to kids in their early years. And it also will ultimately transfer authority of the Colorado Imagination Library Program from the Department of Education to the Department of Early Childhood.
Rep. Target.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make one statement for everybody that's paying attention. This bill has a net neutral general fund impact because it's a transfer of funds from the Department of Education to the Department of Early Childhood. So no additional funds. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1205? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1205. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The bill passes.
Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1206.
House Bill 1206 by Representatives Byrd and Sirota, also Senators Kirkmeyer and Zenzinger, concerning including certain schools as types of school food authorities and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
To the bill, Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1206.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill makes a small appropriation to the Healthy School Meals for All program account in order to include facility schools and the Colorado School for the Deaf and Blind in the Healthy School Meals program. We believe it was probably an oversight, the lack of inclusion of these particular schools in the Healthy Meals program, and so it requires just a $17,000 supplemental addition to this fiscal year to ensure their inclusion and coverage under that program. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1206. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1206 is passed. Mr. Shebel, please read House Bill 1207.
House Bill 1207 by Representatives Byrd and Sirota, also Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, concerning adjustments to school funding for the 2023-24 budget year and in connection therewith reducing an appropriation.
To the bill, Representative Byrd.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move House Bill 24-1207.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, members, this is our true-up for school finance formula. The bill makes changes to school finance total program funding for this current fiscal year to account for the actual funded pupil count, at-risk pupil counts, and taking into account what actual local revenues are available for school finance in the current year. I ask for your yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1207. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1207 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1208.
House Bill 1208 by Representatives Byrd and Sirota, also Senators Bridges and Kirkmeyer, concerning transfers to the Autism Treatment Fund.
To the bill, Representative Byrd.
I move House Bill 24-1208.
To the bill, Representative Byrd.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill makes a technical correction to remove an instruction for the state treasurer to transfer funds from the Autism Treatment Fund. The Autism Treatment Fund, however, was repealed in a bill that we passed last year. And of course, the treasurer cannot transfer money to a fund or from a fund that doesn't exist. So this supplemental bill then for the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing ensures that autism treatment services continue to be funded, but instead just using general fund. There is no change to the autism treatment services that are covered by Medicaid. We ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1208. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. House Bill 1208 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1209.
House Bill 1209 by Representatives Sirota and Taggart, also Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, concerning the creation of the America 250 Colorado 150 Cash Fund.
To the bill, Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1209.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill, if you're aware, there is a committee established regarding the celebration of the America 250 Colorado 150 celebration in the coming years, and this bill will establish a cash fund with History Colorado. They are going to sell merchandise related to said event, and their goal is to raise revenues to support community grants so that folks all across Colorado can participate in these celebrations. And so I ask for your aye vote, but perhaps my co-prime wants to say something as well.
I would again, thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Taggart.
I again, from a fiscal impact This does not have an appropriation. This is strictly developing a cash fund from the sale of this merchandise that can later be dispersed across the state to communities and counties that are doing events for this commemoration of our 250th anniversary of the U.S. and 150th anniversary for the state of Colorado.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1209. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1209 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1210.
House Bill 1210 by Representatives Byrd and Taggart, also Senators Kirkmeyer and Zenzinger, concerning extending the deadline for the Colorado Commission on Higher Education statewide longitudinal data system report and in connection therewith, extending a related existing appropriation.
To the bill, Representative Byrd.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 241210.
To the bill, Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, members, this bill extends spending authority for $3 million in cash funds that were appropriated to the Department of Higher Education via a bill we passed 2 years ago, House Bill 221349, relating to post-secondary student success data. This bill requires the Department of Higher Education to develop measures of student success and post-secondary student success data system. Due to the magnitude of the project contemplated within this bill and its current system remediation efforts, the department has requested a 3-year extension to expend the appropriation. We ask for a yes vote.
Representative Taggart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This extension is really necessary, and again, it does not have a fiscal impact. The $3 million was in fact appropriated, but I hope you all understand with a cybersecurity breach that took place within the Department of Higher Education that their focus has been on solving that situation, and they just need this extension to get back to finalizing this particular IT project. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1210. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1210 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1197.
House Bill 1197 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Public Safety.
Representative Byrd.
Madam Chair, I move Senate Bill 241197.
To the bill, Rep. Byrd. Representative Byrd.
Madam Chair, I move amendment, we don't have an amendment, J006, and ask that it be properly displayed.
Okay, that is proper motion, and it is displayed. To the amendment, Rep. Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, members, this is a non-substantive technical amendment which makes technical adjustments to cash and reappropriated fund sources for various line items in the Department of Public Safety. So we want to make sure when we pass this, we get it right. Again, no substantive changes to the supplemental, but just a technical correction. I ask for your yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Bradley.
Thank you. I move an amendment J005 to House Bill 1197 and ask that it be displayed. I'm getting good at this.
I'm sorry, you had to move.
Maybe you let me pass this.
I'm going to step aside.
Okay, we are still on Amendment J6.
Right.
Okay, and so we will go back to the amendment. Is there any further discussion on Amendment J6? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment J6. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. J6 is passed. Back to the bill. Representative Bradley.
I was just so excited. Thank you. I move J005 to House Bill 1197 and ask that it be displayed, please.
Sorry, my mic is on. I'm sorry. Okay, and that is a proper motion. It has been displayed. To the amendment. Rep. Bradley.
Thank you so much. This is taking $3 million from the general fund, adding $3 million to the general fund for the school security disbursement program in the Department of Public Safety. As a mom of 4 children in public schools, I have not seen a lot of tangible improvements in safety when it comes to schools. I fear every day that my children walk out the door that something is going to happen to them in schools. In Douglas County, we have a profiler that is keeping our children safe, a profiler that looks at children's social media accounts to profile them to see if they are going to shoot up the school. The last 6 school shootings have not involved kids that actually go to the schools that they shoot. Metal detectors is not really an option at this point. I think we need to provide more school safety. Kids shouldn't have to worry about feeling safe at school. They should be there to learn. And this affects all of our districts. I think that most of you have gotten emails from concerned parents wondering when the next unfortunate event is going to happen in Colorado. This should not be about party affiliation. We have more software programs that are aimed at keeping kids safe without profiling children. It's a win-win, and giving more money to budget for this is going to allow schools to become safer, and it means that our kids have peace of mind when they go into the schools, knowing that they can be in a safe environment to learn and not be worried about drills and lockdowns because someone is in the school that is unsafe. I beg you for an aye vote on this very important amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you. School safety is something that we talk about nonstop in this chamber and keeping our children safe. And I think the representative from South of here did a very good job of talking about that, and I would stand supporting her amendment.
Thank you. Representative Lynch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
An honor to serve with you.
Members, if we're, this state has kind of started the, unfortunately, the trend of school shootings. And if we, in this chamber, are serious about the safety of our students, this is an opportunity that I believe was passed up in the budgeting process, that we can step up today and say that we want the best, most secure environment for our kids. So I think you'll have an opportunity to stand up for this in the near future and get behind this. This is a very good amendment.
Thank you. Rep. Bradley.
Thank you. I also just wanted to tell you the School Security Disbursement Program is where schools go in and ask for different grants to protect their schools. This is not about arming teachers. This is not about any legislation for that. This is just to provide schools what they need to make their individual schools safer. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One thing I'd also like to bring up from the rural perspective is my daughters go to school about an hour from the sheriff's department. I actually have a sheriff in the chamber today. I mean, it's hard a lot of times for sheriff and police department to get to our schools in rural Colorado. Many kids go to school 30 to 40 minutes from home, 30 to 40 minutes from the actual city center of their communities or township. I think that's also important. You know, as we talk about safety for kids, we got to talk about rural Colorado kids, and we're always talking about bridging that gap between the rural-urban divide, and I think this is just a good gesture to make sure that we know that we're protecting not only the kids in the urban areas, but the kids within rural Colorado and House District 47. Once again, I urge an aye vote on this.
Thank you. Representative Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I also rise in support of this amendment. My district is one of those districts that spans that urban-rural divide. I've got a big city in the southern part of it, and then I get out into the more rural parts in the northern and the eastern part of the district. And for those schools, for those districts that are 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes away from, first responders or other folks that can keep them safe, having the organic ability to keep that school safe using resources that they have on site, that can be, stuff as simple as upgrading the doors, upgrading the door locks, putting those, their little wedges that go into the bottom of the door to keep that door from opening if they don't want that door to open. There's so many little inexpensive things that can make our schools safer that we could support, particularly for those rural schools, with a amendment such as this. And so I rise in support of this amendment because I think that standing up for school safety is always something that we should be doing in this chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're talking about school safety. We're talking about public safety. We're talking about kids. I want to stand up for all three. I want to stand up for all three right now. These are serious conversations in serious times. Now, I'm going to look over here just for a little bit as we talk about this amendment. You're adding $3 million on line 8, page 40. Another $3 million on line 21, page 40. $3 million in a $40+ billion budget. Do the cowboy math on that on a percentage basis to the total budget. It's in the decimal points. The decimal points. Think about it. Why would we not in this chamber give a little grace? Schools are underfunded. In my district alone, in my home county alone, I've got schools that are 40 minutes away from the sheriff's department. 40, 50 minutes away from the sheriff's department. In some cases, near an hour, depending on the road conditions, which are miserable in my home county. So don't try to drive at high speeds. You won't get there because it's unsafe. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good amendment. You can't ask for a better application of additional funding in this state. The Joint Budget Committee may have overlooked this consideration, and it just doesn't affect the rural communities. This also transfers to the urban communities. So I'm very much in support of this amendment, and very soon we will need to stand for public safety, for the children, and for the school funding needed in this space. So we will see who stands with those three people.
Thank you for the foreshadowing. Representative Lynch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a lot of you are new to this process, but the reason we are doing this today is for you to actually have input on what happens on these budgets. So this is not a partisan event. This is not some sort of slippery trick. This is where you actually, if you truly do believe in safety in our schools and realize that we need to do everything we can from this chamber, I would encourage a yes vote on this amendment.
Thank you. Representative Hernandez.
Madam Chair, it's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, my friend.
Members, I rise today not in favor of this amendment, against this amendment. As an American school teacher and as the person in the chamber who was probably most recently in a public school system in K through 12 education in the chamber, I teach students, and students like mine in my community often do not experience safety in versions that are relevant or in line with things like over-policing and surveillance in schools. I think that I'm deeply against this amendment because in order to actually and fundamentally make our schools safer, that's often root cause work, addressing harm, poverty, and things that show up in real ways for our communities. So thank you. I urge a no vote.
Thank you. Representative Bradley.
Thank you. All due respect, I didn't say anything about surveillance. I didn't say anything about more SROs. I didn't say anything about more law enforcement. So please don't reach out that this amendment is saying those things, because that is not what this amendment says. The amendment is giving school security disbursement program like the representative talked about. Doors, capital improvements, construction to make the schools safer. I didn't say anything about more law enforcement. I didn't say anything about any of that. I said, let's give schools the ability to be safer. And no offense, I've been out of the schools for a while. You're definitely right about that. But I have 4 children in the schools right now. I have 4 children scared to go to school because they don't feel safe. So don't discount the fact that children in all 64 of our districts don't feel safe going to school. And we owe them to be safe in a learning environment. I urge an aye vote on this amendment.
Thank you. Representative Byrd.
So, members, I'm going to respectfully ask for a no vote, but I want to say I appreciate what our good colleagues are saying. It's absolutely, I completely agree with you. And in fact, if you remember, when we just passed our current long bill, the one that we're amending right now, we collaborated to plus up money that was available because we share that value. 100%. I too still have a child in public schools, and we also recognize the threat. And I don't like saying that he also doesn't feel safe in his school. So there is work to be done. I urge my colleagues to stay committed with me to make sure, and the rest of the Joint Budget Committee, that we make sure that the budget we pass for the next fiscal year continues to support and apply those resources to our schools so they can keep every one of our children safe in school. No child should ever feel unsafe in their school. I am a committed partner in that effort. I'm grateful for you elevating the conversation, and you have my commitment to continue working with you on this. The facts are, though, for the supplemental process, we just don't have the same flexibility that we do when we're negotiating and working on the long bill. So thank you for elevating this, and with all due respect, I ask for a no vote on this amendment, and with hopes that we continue the conversation and work for next year.
Thank you. We are discussing Amendment J005. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. The question before us is the passage of Amendment J005. Okay, thank you. You have to actually say it. I'm sorry. Okay, a division has been called. Sorry. That's why I was kind of looking.
Appreciate that, Rep.
Okay. The question before us is the adoption of Amendment J005. A division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. All those in the chamber entitled to vote, please be seated. Please be seated. All those in favor of Amendment J005, please stand and remain standing, or raise your hand and keep it raised until the count is taken. Thank you. You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and remain standing in one place until the count is taken, or please raise your hand until the count is taken. All right, you may be seated. Amendment J005 is lost. To the bill. Is there any further discussion? Representative Evans.
Do you need to move Bill? All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So, as we were reading through the bill, it's about $27 million, give or take, additional to the Department of Public Safety. And one of the things that jumped out to me was this about $7.5 million to the retesting of DNA samples. And the explanation was that we need to retest about 3,000 DNA samples using an independent third-party lab because of some recent anomalies that were found in some of the testing that was done down at CBI. And so with that, I move Amendment J004 and ask for it to be properly displayed.
That is a proper motion, and it is properly displayed. To the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, for my JBC friends, the best part about this amendment is it costs nothing. All it says is that given that there is a history affecting 3,000 DNA samples, give or take, in the Department of Public Safety, and it's going to cost $7.5 million to go back and independently re-verify those anomalies. If we're going to spend that $7.5 million, we need to have some sort of accountability to ensure that we don't have something like this happen again, that we're being responsible and efficient and accountable with taxpayer money. And this amendment provides that accountability by just requiring that the General Assembly, it's the General Assembly's intent that the Department of Public Safety provide a progress report to the Joint Budget Committee by November 1st, 2024, articulating how that $7.5 million has been used to retest those DNA samples and then ensure that we don't have this problem again so that we don't have to spend another chunk of change to be able to go and independently retest some things. So it's a good amendment, costs nothing, requires some, just requires a little bit of transparency and accountability as to how we're spending taxpayer money, and I would ask for an aye vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Byrd. Representative Taggart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I don't get hung in effigy by my caucus, I rise in support of this amendment. Thank you.
Order in this chamber. Gasp. Representative Byrd.
Members, I too will rise in support of this amendment. I think this is increased transparency, and that's helpful for all of us. So I urge a yes vote.
Well, the question before us is the passage of Amendment J004. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. I think it was the same people. Amendment J004 passes. To the bill, Representative Byrd.
All right, members. Wow, thank you for the robust discussion on how we can amend this bill. I will just say that the bill includes funding that addresses testing anomalies involving a former DNA scientist at the CBI, nonprofit security grants, school security grants, grants to community-based organization offering newcomer support. There are true-ups to reflect actual costs that are associated with digital trunk radios, an end of one-time funding for the Nurse 911 Call Pilot Program that was authorized in Senate Bill 21-156, and a reduction of funding to the department associated with the repeal of the Colorado Commission on Criminal and Juvenile Justice. I urge a yes vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1197. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. 1197 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1211.
House Bill 1211 by Representatives Taggart and Sirota, also Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, concerning the establishment of the state funding for Senior Services Contingency Reserve Fund and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Representative Taggart.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 24-1211.
To the bill, Rep. Taggart.
Seriously?
Please proceed. Or answer the phone. Apologies. Please.
Not my fault.
If we could, Rep. Taggart, if you like, you can go ahead and speak to House Bill 1211.
Okay. This bill is about a program that we're all aware of that we name the AAA program for our senior citizens. And the big program within that is, in fact, Meals on Wheels. And in this bill addresses the fact that food costs and transportation costs are up dramatically. We do not want this program to go without funding through the end of the year. So this is for 90 days, $2 million to make sure that these very valuable programs continue through the fiscal year.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1211? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1211. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. House Bill 1211 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of House Bill 1212.
House Bill 1212 by Representative Sirota and Taggart, also Senators Bridges and Kirkmeyer, concerning entities serving the new 23rd Judicial District.
Thank you. Representative Sirota,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1212.
please to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill requires no appropriation, but it does allow for the establishment of a drug offender treatment board in the newly created 23rd Judicial District, and also if the boards of county commissioners in Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties agree, then also a local juvenile services planning committee can also be created in the new judicial district so that appointments can be made prior to the official start of the district in January of 2025. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1212. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1213.
House Bill 1213 by Representatives Byrd and Taggart, also Senators Bridges and Zenzinger, concerning a transfer from the general fund to the Judicial Collection Enhancement Fund.
Representative Taggart.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 24-1213.
To the bill, Rep. Taggart.
Yes, this bill requires the state treasurer to transfer $2.5 million of general fund to the Judicial Collection Enhancement Fund. This is for the purpose of making that fund solvent in the short term. Longer term, the Judicial Department is planning on additional or raising fees that have not been raised in quite a period of time to help this solvency, but right now we need to shore this up.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1213? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1214.
House Bill 1214 by Representatives Byrd and Taggart, also Senators Bridges and Kirkmeyer, concerning community crime victims funding and in connection therewith reducing and making an appropriation.
Representative Byrd,
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 241214.
please to the bill. Rep. Byrd.
Yes, members, this bill exempts the Community Crime Victims Cash Fund in the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment from the Cash Fund Reserve requirement and subjects the fund to annual appropriations instead of making appropriations continuous. It also moves the current $4 million appropriation to another fund and adds another $1 million to the program from the cash fund. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1214? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. 1214 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1215.
House Bill 1215 by Representatives Byrd and Sirota, also Senators Bridges and Kirkmeyer, concerning transfers to the Capital Construction Fund.
Representative Byrd,
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 241215.
please to the bill. Rep. Byrd.
The bill makes transfers to the Capital Construction Fund and the Information Technology Capital Account within the Capital Construction Fund IT Capital Account to balance the Capital Construction Fund and IT Capital Account for the fiscal year 23-24 supplemental appropriations. We ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1215? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1215. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. 1215 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
All
Seeing no objections, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Schiebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1180, 1181, 1182, 1183, 1184, 1185, 1186, 1187, 1188, 1189, 1190, 1191, 1192, 1193, 1194, 1195, 1196, 1197 as amended. 1198, 1199, 1200, 1201, 1202, 1203, 1204, 1205, 1206, 1207, 1208, 1209, 1210, 1211, 1212, 1213, 1214, and 1215. Passed on second reading, order engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
There are amendments at the desk. Mr. Schiebel, please read the first Bradley amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Representative Bradley moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following amendment, J1 to House Bill 1187 to show that said amendment passed and that House Bill 1187 is amended passed.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you. I move the first Bradley Amendment, H001, to the Committee of the Whole and ask that it be displayed. Did I do that right?
The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
You guys have heard me speak. You don't need to hear me speak anymore. I think it's important to give money to nurses. They're the front lines. They have worked very hard during COVID. They deserve to be able to work in their communities and in our state and not give up jobs to contract nurses from other states. I urge and I vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of the first Bradley Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Yes, I've been reminded of the members participating remotely terribly. Sorry. Representative McLaughlin, how do you vote? Is that Representative McLaughlin? Are you saying you cannot hear me, or that?
We couldn't unmute, but it's been lifted.
I see. Okay. Representative McLaughlin, how do you vote?
No.
Representative McLaughlin votes no. Representative Epps, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Epps votes no. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Representative Judah, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Judah votes no. Representative Rutenell, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Rutenell votes no. Representative Luck is excused. Please close the machine. With 19 aye votes, 41 no votes, 5 excused, and 0 absent, the first Bradley amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the second Bradley amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Representative Bradley moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Bradley Amendment, J2 to House Bill 1187, to show that said amendment passed, that House Bill 1187 is amended passed.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you. Let's try this again. I move the second Bradley Amendment, H002, to the Committee of the Whole and ask that it be displayed.
You may proceed.
Awesome. Maybe it wasn't enough money. Maybe you guys wanted it a little bit more. So I'm going to run the same amendment and ask for $7.1 million for our frontline workers, our nurses, to thank them for working so tirelessly and taking care of us. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of the second Bradley Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine. And members, please proceed to vote. On the wall, Representative McLaughlin.
No.
Representative McLaughlin votes no. Representative Epps.
No.
Representative Epps votes no. Representative Ortiz.
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Representative Judah.
No.
Representative Judah votes no. Representative Rutenell.
No.
Representative Rutenell votes no. Representative Joseph. Please close the machine. With 17 aye votes, 43 no votes, 5 excused, and 0 absent, the second Bradley Amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the third Bradley Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Representative Bradley moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Bradley Amendment, J3 to House Bill 1187, to show that said amendment passed, that House Bill 1187 is amended passed.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you. Third time's the charm. Ready? I move the third Bradley Amendment, H003, to the Committee of the Whole and ask that it be displayed.
Please proceed.
Okay, 5 million might have been too much, 7 million might have been a little big of an ask, but 1 million to bridge the gap, to tell nurses we are serious about retaining you in the state of Colorado, and we appreciate all of your hard work during COVID, and we appreciate you sticking around in Colorado, and we're sorry that we paid contract nurses more than you. Here's $1 million to bridge the gap and to retain you and keep you in our wonderful state. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of the third Bradley Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative McLaughlin, how do you vote?
No.
Representative McLaughlin votes no. Representative Epps?
No.
Representative Epps votes no. Representative Ortiz?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Representative Judah?
Sorry, no.
Representative Judah votes no. Representative Rutenell?
No.
Representative Rutenell votes no. Representatives DeGraff and Winter, please vote. Please close the machine. With 23 aye votes, 37 no votes, 5 excused, and 0 absent, the third Bradley Amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the fourth Bradley Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Representative Bradley moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Bradley Amendment, J5 to House Bill 1197, to show that said amendment passed, that House Bill 1197 is amended passed.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you. Fourth time's a charm. I move amendment, the fourth Bradley Amendment, H001, to the Committee of the Whole and ask that it be displayed.
Please proceed.
This is $3 million added to the school security disbursement program. This is for schools to determine how to help make their schools safer. I've heard that there's probably a little money in this, so you can feel good about voting for this amendment, and you can feel good about going back to your districts and saying, today, we took the first step in making our schools safer. Again, this is not about arming anyone or increasing law enforcement. This is letting schools decide what is going to keep their kids safe. 4 children in our schools of my own that don't feel safe. Ask your constituents what the biggest thing on their mind is, and that is children being able to go into schools and learn safely. I urge an aye vote. I urge you to listen to what the constituents in your districts are asking you to do. There should be nothing that we're doing in this assembly other than trying to keep the most innocent safe when they go into schools to learn. I urge an aye vote on this amendment.
Representative Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we do have an esteemed JBC that did a lot of really good, hard work today, and they need to be complimented for that. But they don't always get it right. And sometimes we, as a body, need to say, hey, this is an important issue. And I think the safety of our children in this state is an important issue. Not one that can wait for the long bill, not one that can wait for us to come and bring some other reactionary bill because some bad thing happens in our schools. Today, right now, we have the opportunity to do a step, just one little step of $3 million towards ensuring the safety of our children. I would really encourage a yes vote on this amendment.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you. Just one other note. There are certain things I think that can wait. I think there are certain things in this body that can wait. School safety is not one of those things. Our children deserve to be safe. It can't wait. It can't wait for the long bill. We need the money now to let our schools be safer. This is of utmost importance, and this is the one reason that I actually ran for office. Because I make a promise to my children every night that I will do anything and everything to keep my 4 boys safe and to keep the constituents' children safe. This is a step in the right direction. There's no time to wait. Thank you.
Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, I stand in strong support of this amendment. In my district, there are rural schools. They are a long way from police. They are a long way from fire. They are a long way from the sheriffs. A lot of times, our law enforcement are stretched thin where we're at. I live in the largest geographical county in the state of Colorado, where it probably takes 2 hours to get from one end of my county to the other. The sheriff's office sits in the middle, but think from the middle to both sides how long it could take for first responders to get to a school. And to take this little bit of money to try to harden the target, better doors, better windows, I think those are important things. Plans on to figure out how they can keep these kids safe. There's so many different ways this money can be spent. And on behalf of rural Colorado and House District 47, I urge you all to take a look at this little bit of money and put it towards the schools. Not only help your schools in the urban centers, but look out for the kids in rural Colorado. Once again, I rise in support. Thank you.
Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I also rise in support of this cow. I think it's really important that we have these conversations. I think as a body, we get the ability, we appreciate the very hard work of the JBC. We do not envy you, or at least I don't. But I really do think it's important that we as a body help direct some of this money to the priorities that we have in this state. As a mom of 2 kids in our public school system, it's a conversation we have at our house every day. And throughout the interim, I had a school safety town hall. It was packed with people, along with the good representative from Monument, packed with people talking about solutions to help protect our kids and keep them safe. I think there's no amount of money that we can put on the lives of our kids. This is a small amount in a very big budget that should be directed to protect our kids and focus on school safety. So I would urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And members, I just want you to know you have your Joint Budget Committee's commitment to continue working with you to make sure not only that we honor all of the commitments we made in the current year's budget, because remember, we worked together during the crafting of last year, or of our bill that we're living in right now, our current budget cycle. We worked together to plus up all of our school safety resources, and that commitment stands. As we work for next year's budget, I stand shoulder to shoulder with you, trying to make sure that we are underscoring the importance of making sure every child in rural, in urban communities, wherever you live, your kid should feel safe in their public schools. So we are there with you. Today we're working on supplementals. We must work within our means. We have a constitutional responsibility to pass a balanced budget, and here is where we are at. So with all due respect and support for this very important effort that's being lifted up by our colleagues, I do respectfully ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of the 4th Bradley Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative McLaughlin, how do you vote?
No.
Representative McLaughlin votes no. Representative Epps, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Epps votes no. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Ortiz votes no. Representative Judah, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Judah votes no. Representative Rutenell, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Rutenell votes no. Please close the machine. With 19 aye votes, 41 no votes, 5 excused, and 0 absent, the 4th Bradley Amendment is lost. That was our final amendment, and that brings us to the report itself. The question before us is the passage of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative McLaughlin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative McLaughlin votes yes. Representative Epps, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Epps votes yes. Representative Ortiz?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Representative Judah?
Yes.
Representative Judah votes yes. Representative Rutenell?
Yes.
Representative Rutenell votes yes. Representatives Bacon, Froelich, and Ricks, please. The Assistant Majority Leader has pointed out to me that we didn't actually have the cow chair make the motion, so that is my oversight. I'm terribly sorry. All right, here's what we are going to do. We're going to start this last vote over. I am sorry for that misstep here. Mr. Schiebel, please close the machine. These votes will not be recorded. Let's see, who is the last chair of the... Representative Bacon. Thank you very much. I'm terribly sorry, everybody. The question before us now is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative McLaughlin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative McLaughlin votes yes. Representative Epps?
Yes.
Representative Epps votes yes. Representative Ortiz?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Representative Judah?
Yes.
Representative Judah votes yes. Representative Rutenell?
Yes.
Representative Rutenell votes yes. Please close the machine. With 45 aye votes, 15 no votes, and 5 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is passed. That brings us to announcements and introductions. I'm going to go from the sign-up list here. I've got 2.
Let's see. Some of your handwriting leaves something to be desired. Representative Winter, I see you on there. Mr. Assistant Minority Leader.
So I have two quick announcements. First of all, I'd like to invite my friends and sheriff and undersheriff from Prowers County that made the trip up today, so thank you for being here. Secondly, we would like to introduce and thank all the members from the Colorado Independent Cattle Growers Association. Today they invited you all to lunch from 12 to 2 over in SSB. If you please join them. These are the people that get up every day in the snow, in the cold. They feed cattle. They feed all the animals. They're the ones that make sure that not only in Colorado that we get fed, but people get fed across the nation. So thank you for being here. Say something.
Representative Weinberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Good afternoon, fellow colleagues. Today is the last day for your Valentines for the City of Loveland, please. On my desk before the end of the day. Get them turned in. It's a special thing for my city. All of your partners will enjoy this gift coming up on the 14th. Loveland proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. It's a privilege to serve with you.
It's an honor and privilege to serve with you as well.
Thank you. Members, I wanted to bring your attention to Western Colorado University is hosting a breakfast breakfast and coffee. It's noon, so I've gone past coffee. But anyway, they're going to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning from 8 till 9 a.m. Please come by, say hello, find out what's happening in Gunnison and at Western Colorado University.
Thank you. Minority Leader Puglisi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I want you all to mark your calendars for the Colorado Landlord Legislative Coalition. They will be meeting tomorrow from 5:30 to 7:30 at the University Club. I hope you can join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Titone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Tomorrow morning, 7:30, Joint Technology Committee. We will be hearing from Legislative Information Services budget request, discussion on prioritization. We will not be hearing the discussion on Senate Bill 91. And any other business that we will get to will happen at 7:30 upstairs, room 356.
Who's next? Representative Amabile.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. We are not having business on adjournment today, but we are having business tomorrow at 1:30, and would appreciate it if everybody could be there right at 1:30. Thank you.
Representative Doherty.
Thank you. We will be having Health and Human Services Committee promptly at 1:30, which does not mean 1:40. And we will be hearing the following bills in order: House Bill 1046, House Bill 1088, House Bill 1075, and we will lay over House Bill 1010. And that will be in room 112. Thanks.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you. Judiciary Committee, we're meeting at 1:30 today in Old State Library. Big room over that way. We have 4 items on our agenda. First, House Bill 1014. Second, sunset hearing for the Debt Management Service Providers Oversight Act. Please bring the materials that Mr. Pogue distributed a day or two ago for that. Then back to bills, House Bill 1118 and House Bill 1104. See you at 1:30.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. The Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee will meet at 1:30, LSBA, 2 sunsets, and a 1143.
Thank you. One quick announcement. Representative Velasco will replace Representative Herod on the Judiciary Committee today only. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until Thursday, February 8th, 2024.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over as requested by the Majority Leader. Majority Leader Duran. Majority Leader Duran.
Sorry. Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until later today.